The twin suns of Kepler 442b cast long shadows across the mining camp, as 8-year-old Tai Yan skipped between the large metal buildings. Her small hands clutched a worn cloth doll that her mother Nari had made from old work clothes. The little girl hummed a song she had learned from the other human children who lived in the settlement. Kepler 442b was not a beautiful world. The ground was mostly red dirt and gray rocks. Large machines dug deep holes in the earth all day and all night. The air smelled like metal and burning fuel. But for Tay, it was home. She had been born here, just like many other human children. The humans had come to this world 30 years ago. They came because the aliens who ruled the galaxy told them to come. The aliens needed workers to dig valuable metals from the ground. Humans were good workers, they said. Humans were strong and could work in dangerous places. Tai's father Q worked as a mining supervisor. Every morning he put on his heavy work clothes and went down into the deep mines. He made sure the other human workers stayed safe and did their jobs well. Q was a good man who cared about his people. Her mother Nari worked in the medical center. She helped workers who got hurt in the mines. She also took care of sick children and gave medicine to anyone who needed it. Nari had gentle hands and a warm smile that made everyone feel better. Today was different from other days. The alien overseer, Sector Commander Vex 9, had told all the workers to dig in a new area. This place was farther from the main camp, near some tall rock formations that looked like giant fingers reaching toward the sky. Tay was not supposed to go near the work areas, but she was curious like all children. While her parents were busy with their jobs, she walked toward the new digging site. She wanted to see what the big machines were doing. The ground here was different. Instead of the usual red dirt, there were patches of white and blue stone. Strange patterns ran through the rocks like frozen lightning. Tay had never seen anything like it before. She climbed up on a small hill to get a better look. The mining machines were very loud, and the workers looked like tiny ants from up here. Tay sat down and watched them work. The sun felt warm on her face. That was when she saw it. At the bottom of the hill, partly buried in the soft dirt, something sparkled in the sunlight. Tay slid down the hill carefully, holding her doll tight. As she got closer, she could see that it was some kind of crystal. It was about the size of her hand and had many flat sides that caught the light. The crystal was the most beautiful thing Tay had ever seen. It seemed to glow with its own light, shifting from blue to green to purple as she moved it. When she held it up to the sun, rainbows danced inside it. "Pretty," she whispered, turning the crystal over in her small hands. Tay knew she should take the crystal to her parents. Her father had taught her that anything found near the mines was important. She put the crystal carefully in her pocket and ran back toward the camp. She found her father talking with other human supervisors outside the main office building. Q looked tired, as he always did after a long day in the mines. But when he saw his daughter running toward him, his face lit up with a smile. "Papa," Tay called out. "Papa, look what I found." She pulled the crystal from her pocket and held it up for everyone to see. The men around her father stopped talking and stared at the crystal. Their faces became very serious. "Where did you find this little one?" Q asked, kneeling down to look at the crystal more closely. "By the big rocks near where the machines are working," Tay said proudly. "It was just sitting in the dirt waiting for me." Q's hands shook a little as he took the crystal from his daughter. He had worked in mines for many years. He knew that this was not just any crystal. The way it glowed, the way it felt warm to the touch. This was something very special, very valuable. "We need to report this right away," said one of the other supervisors, a man named Day who had worked with Q for 10 years. Q nodded. He knew the rules. Any important discoveries had to be reported to the alien overseers immediately. It was the law. They walked together to the large building where Sector Commander Vex 9 had his office. The building was different from the human living quarters. It was built with smooth metal walls and had symbols from the alien language carved into. The doors. Vex 9 was a Gaviran, one of the reptile-like aliens who controlled this part of the galaxy. He was tall and thin with green scales covering his body. His eyes were yellow and never seemed to blink. Like all Gavirans, He believed that humans were inferior beings who existed only to serve the great galactic empire. When Q knocked on the office door, Vex 9's voice hissed from inside. "Enter." Q walked in with Tai beside him. The office was cold and smelled like chemicals. Vex 9 sat behind a large metal desk looking at reports on a glowing computer screen. "What do you want, human?" Vex 9 asked without looking up. "Sir, my daughter found something that I think you should see," Q said respectfully. He placed the crystal on the desk. Vex 9's yellow eyes focused on the crystal immediately. His thin lips pulled back, showing sharp teeth. Q could tell that the alien understood exactly what this crystal was. "Where was this found?" Vex 9 demanded. "I found it by the big rocks," Tay said before her father could answer. "It was just sitting there, all pretty and shiny." Vex 9 stood up slowly. He was much taller than any human, and he used his height to make people afraid. "This crystal contains traces of quantum phase crystals," he said. "It is extremely valuable. It belongs to the Galactic Empire now." "Of course, sir," Q said. "We just wanted to report it properly." "You have done your duty," Vex 9 said, taking the crystal and putting it in a secure container. "You will speak of this to no one, is that understood?" "Yes, sir," Q replied. But Tay was just a child. She did not understand why the pretty crystal had to be a secret. Later that day, while playing with her friends, she told them about her discovery. "I found the most beautiful crystal today," she said to a group of human children. "It was all sparkly and had rainbows inside, but the scary alien took it away." Word spread quickly through the small human community. Children told their parents. Parents whispered to their friends. By evening, most of the humans in the settlement had heard about Tai's discovery. When Vex 9 learned that the humans were talking about the crystal, he became very angry. In Gaviran culture, the word of a superior could never be questioned. If inferior beings like humans talked about things they were told to keep secret, it was an insult that demanded punishment. The next morning, Vex 9 called for a gathering of all humans in the settlement. Men, women, and children stood in the main square, wondering what the alien wanted. Vex 9 walked into the center of the group. His yellow eyes searched the crowd until they found Tay, who was holding her mother's hand. "Yesterday, I gave an order that certain information was not to be discussed," Vex 9 said in a loud voice. "This order was disobeyed by inferior beings who do not understand their place in the natural order." He pointed directly at Tay with one clawed finger. "This child has shown disrespect to the Galactic Empire by spreading information that was classified. Such behavior cannot be tolerated." Nari stepped forward, putting herself between the alien and her daughter. "Sir, she is just a child. She didn't understand." "Silence," Vex 9 hissed. "The age of inferior beings is not relevant. Order must be maintained." What happened next would change everything. Vex 9 pulled out his energy weapon, a device that could kill with a single shot. Without warning, without mercy, he fired at the 8-year-old girl. Taeyeon died instantly, her small body falling to the ground in front of her parents and all the humans who had watched her grow up. The silence that followed was complete. No one moved. No one breathed. Then Nari screamed, a sound of pure grief that echoed across the settlement. Q fell to his knees beside his daughter's body, his strong hands shaking as he tried to understand what had just happened. "Let this be a lesson," Vex 9 said calmly, putting his weapon away. "The Galactic Empire will not tolerate disobedience from any species, regardless of age or circumstances." He walked away, leaving the humans staring at the body of an innocent child who had done nothing wrong except find a pretty crystal and tell her friends about it. In that moment, something changed in the hearts of every human present. They had always known that the aliens considered them inferior. They had accepted their place as workers and servants. But watching a child murdered for the crime of being curious, that was something different. As word of Tay's death spread to human settlements across the galaxy, a new feeling began to grow. It was not just sadness or anger. It was something much more dangerous. It was the beginning of human determination to make sure that no alien would ever hurt one of their children. Again, the news of Taiyan's murder traveled fast across the galaxy. Human settlements on dozens of worlds received the message through secret communication networks that the aliens did not know about. In every human home, families gathered around their communication devices and watched the recording that someone had made secretly. They saw the little girl with her bright smile. They heard her tell her friends about the pretty crystal she had found. Then they watched in horror as Sector Commander Vex 9 killed her without warning or mercy. On Earth, Ambassador Juan received the message in his office late at night. Juan was a careful man who had spent 20 years trying to make life better for humans in the galaxy. He spoke many alien languages and understood their laws. He had always believed that patience and diplomacy could solve problems. But as he watched 8-year-old Tay die on his screen, something broke inside him. Juan had a daughter almost the same age. He could imagine his own child in Ty's place. The thought made him sick. Juan immediately sent messages to human leaders on every world. Within hours, he had responses from colony governors, ship captains, and settlement leaders. All of them said the same thing. This could not be allowed to continue. The next morning, Juan called together the small team of humans who worked in the Galactic capital. There was his assistant, a young woman named Yeri. There was also Dr. Jin, a scientist who studied alien technology, and Captain Min, who commanded the tiny human security force. "We must demand justice," Juan told them. "We must make the Galactic Council listen to us." But Dr. Jin shook his head sadly. "You know the laws, Ambassador. 10 human witnesses are needed to challenge one alien's word. There were many humans who saw what happened, but the Council will not count their testimony." "Then, we will change the laws," Juan said firmly. Captain Min looked worried. "The aliens will never change laws that benefit them. They see us as animals who can work but cannot think." "We have to try," Juan replied. "We cannot let Tay's death mean nothing." Juan spent 3 days preparing his petition to the Galactic Council. He wrote carefully about Tay's murder and asked for 3 things: justice for the child, punishment for Vex 9, and changes to the laws that treated humans as lesser beings. The Galactic Council met in a huge building made of crystal and metal. Representatives from 50 different alien species sat in a great circle. They were all older, more advanced races who had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. When Juan was finally allowed to speak, he stood in the center of the circle feeling very small. The alien representatives looked down at him, like he was an insect that had crawled into their important meeting. "Honored council members," Juan began, "I come to you seeking justice for an innocent child who was murdered by one of your sector commanders." He told them about Taiyan. He showed them the recording of her death. He explained that she was just 8 years old and had done nothing wrong. The council listened in silence. When Juan finished speaking, there was a long pause. Then Matriarch, Thais of the Ethereal Collective, spoke. Thais was an ancient being who looked like a tall, thin tree with silver bark. Her voice sounded like wind through leaves. "Human representative," she said, "the death of one primitive offspring does not warrant the attention of civilized species. Your kind exists to serve the Empire. Questioning the decisions of your superiors is not acceptable." Other council members made sounds of agreement. To them, Juan's petition was like a dog asking for equal rights with its masters. Juan felt his heart sink. But she was just a child. "This council has made its decision," Thys interrupted. "Your petition is denied. You will return to your duties and ensure that other humans understand their place." Juan left the council building with his head down. But as he walked through the corridors, his sadness began to change into something else, something harder and angrier. He sent a coded message to Earth. "Justice denied. Moving to Plan Omega." On Earth, Admiral San Chen received Juan's message in his secret office deep underground. San was the commander of all human military forces, though most aliens thought humans had no real military at all. For 30 years, San and other human leaders had been preparing for this day. They knew that eventually, the aliens would go too far. They knew that someday humans would have to fight for their freedom. San called together his top officers. There was Dr. Hana Lim, a brilliant scientist who had been secretly developing new weapons. There was Colonel Bin Soto, who trained Special Forces soldiers in hidden bases. There was also Mira Ko, who ran spy networks throughout the galaxy. "The time has come," San told them. Taeyeon's murder was the final insult. Now we show the galaxy what humans can really do. Dr. Hana activated a wall screen that showed images of secret projects. "Project Prometheus is ready," she said. "Our new fusion plasma weapons are more powerful than anything the Gavirans have." She showed them pictures of sleek weapons that glowed with blue energy. "We tested them last week. They can destroy a Gaviran battleship with one shot." Colonel Bin nodded. "Project Atlas is also complete. Our powered armor suits make human soldiers stronger and faster than any alien warrior." He showed images of humans wearing advanced metal suits that made them look like robots. "A single soldier in Atlas armor can fight 10 Gaviran troops." Mirako spoke next. "Project Pandora has infiltrated alien computer systems across the galaxy. When we activate it, their communications and weapons will stop working." Finally, San showed them the crown jewel of human preparation. Project Hermes has built 300 ships that no alien sensors can detect. They think we have 12 old patrol boats. They have no idea we have a real fleet. The room fell silent as the officers realized the scale of what they had built in secret. For 30 years, while pretending to be simple workers and farmers, humans had been creating an advanced military force. "The aliens killed our child," San said quietly. "Now they will learn what happens when you hurt something that humans love." One returned to Earth a week later. He met with San and the other leaders in a secure bunker beneath the capital city. Together they wrote a document that would change galactic history. It was called the Terran Declaration of Autonomy. The document said that humanity was withdrawing from the Galactic Empire. It demanded justice for Taeyeon's murder, reparations for 30 years of exploitation, and recognition of human independence. Most importantly, it warned the aliens that any attempt to stop human independence would be met with total war. When the declaration was finished, one looked at the other leaders. "Once we send this, there is no going back. The aliens will try to destroy us." Admiral San smiled grimly. "Let them try. They think they know what humans are capable of. They are about to learn how wrong they are." Dr. Hana checked her watch. "In exactly 1 hour, every human settlement in the galaxy will receive the declaration. Simultaneously, every human will know that we are no longer slaves." Colonel Bin added, "Our special forces teams are already in position near alien command centers. When the shooting starts, we will be ready." Mirako had the final word. "I have operatives inside alien governments who have been waiting for this moment for 20 years. When we activate Project Pandora, their entire command structure will collapse." One thought about little Taeyeon and her bright smile. He thought about all the other human children who deserve to grow up free. "Send the declaration," he said. Across the galaxy, humans stopped working. They left their jobs in alien mines and factories. They walked away from alien overseers who had treated them like property. In every human settlement, people gathered to hear the declaration read aloud. When Sector Commander Vex 9 received his copy, he laughed. The idea of humans fighting the mighty Galactic Empire seemed ridiculous to him. "Prepare the fleet," he ordered his officers. "We will crush this rebellion quickly and remind the humans of their place." But in secret bases across the galaxy, human military forces were preparing for war. Ships that had been hidden for decades powered up their engines. Soldiers put on their advanced armor. Scientists armed their new weapons. The murder of one innocent child had awakened something in humanity that had been sleeping for too long. The aliens had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years through fear and superior technology. They were about to discover that humans had both now, and humans had something the aliens had never learned to use: the fury of parents protecting their children. The Gaviran 7th Fleet was the pride of the Galactic Empire. 50 massive battleships filled with the most advanced weapons and the best alien warriors. Fleet Commander Zul 88 had never lost a battle in his 30 years of service. When he received orders to crush the human rebellion, Zul 88 was not worried. Humans had only a few old patrol ships and no real weapons. This would be easy. Set course for the Sol system, he ordered his bridge crew. We will destroy their homeworld and end this foolishness quickly. The massive alien fleet jumped through space faster than light. In just a few hours, they arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system. Zul 88 expected to see human ships running away in fear. Instead, he saw something that confused him. Earth's orbital defenses looked exactly the same as they had for 20 years. A few old space stations, some ancient patrol boats. Nothing that could threaten his powerful fleet. Scan for human ships, Zul 88 ordered. I detect 12 small vessels near Earth, his sensor operator reported. They appear to be the same old patrol craft we have seen before. Zul 88 smiled, showing his sharp teeth. Open a channel to the humans. Let me speak to whoever leads them. On the bridge of the UES Defiance, Captain Juno Park received the alien transmission. Juno was a young woman who had trained for this moment her entire life. She had studied every alien battle tactic and knew their weaknesses. This is Fleet Commander Zul 88 of the Gavarin Empire, the alien's voice hissed through the speakers. You have 10 minutes to surrender unconditionally. If you do not surrender, we will destroy every human ship and bombard your planet until nothing lives. Juno looked at her crew. They were all young humans who had volunteered for this mission, knowing they might die, but they also knew that they were fighting for every human child who deserved to grow up free. Tell him we have a counteroffer, Juno said calmly. The communication channel opened again. This is Captain Juno Park of the Terran Defense Force. Our counteroffer is simple. Leave our system now or we will destroy your entire fleet. The aliens on Zul 88's bridge laughed out loud. The idea of 12 human patrol boats threatening 50 battleships seemed like a joke. You have chosen death, Zul 88 replied. Begin the attack. The Gaviran fleet moved forward, their weapons charging with deadly energy. But as they approached Earth, something incredible happened. Suddenly, 300 human ships appeared out of nowhere. They had been invisible, hidden by Project Hermes stealth technology. The sleek new vessels surrounded the alien fleet in perfect formation. What? Zul 88 started to say, but his words were cut off as human weapons began firing. The Project Prometheus plasma cannons lit up space with blue fire. Each shot hit with the power of a small star. Gaviran battleships that had seemed invincible exploded into balls of flame. In the first 30 seconds of battle, 20 alien ships were destroyed. Impossible, Zul 88 screamed. How do they have such weapons? His tactical officer was frantically checking sensors. Sir, their technology appears to be more advanced than ours. Their weapons are cutting through our shields like they are not there. Captain Juno Park watched from her bridge as the battle unfolded exactly as human war planners had predicted. The aliens were brave fighters, but they had never faced an enemy with better technology and more determination. Target their command ship, Juno ordered. Let's end this quickly. 10 human ships focused their fire on Zul 88's flagship. The massive Gaviran battleship shook under the assault. Its shields failed, its weapons exploded, and its hull began to crack. In his final moments, Zul 88 understood that everything the galaxy believed about humans was wrong. They were not primitive workers. They were a warrior species that had been hiding their true strength. The battle lasted only 20 minutes. When it was over, 50 Gaviran battleships had been destroyed. Not a single human ship was lost. Across the galaxy, the recording of the battle was broadcast on every communication channel. Alien species that had served the Empire for thousands of years watched in shock as humans defeated the mighty 7th Fleet. On the Gaviran homeworld, Supreme Commander Rack Prime called an emergency meeting. His advisors were all talking at once, trying to understand what had happened. How is this possible? Rack Prime demanded. Our intelligence said humans had no advanced weapons. General Vess 44 checked his reports. Sir, it appears they have been building a secret military for decades. Our spies never detected it because we believed humans were too primitive to hide anything from us. What are our options? Rack Prime asked. We could negotiate, one advisor suggested. No, Rack Prime slammed his clawed hand on the table. The Empire does not negotiate with inferior species. Send the 3rd, 5th, and 9th fleets. Send everything we have. But while the Gavarans were planning their response, humans were already striking across the galaxy. On Kepler 442b, General Yuna Choi led the liberation of Taiyan's homeworld. 2,000 human soldiers in Project Atlas-powered armor landed like meteors from the sky. Each soldier was faster and stronger than any alien warrior. Sector Commander Vex 9 tried to organize the defense, but his troops were no match for the humans. The battle lasted only 4 hours. When it was over, every alien on the planet had been captured or killed. Vex 9 himself was taken alive, dragged from his bunker by human soldiers who remembered the little girl he had murdered. On the mining world of Titan 7, Captain Ho Kim led a squadron of new Raptor-class fighters against an alien defense station. The human pilots flew like no alien had ever seen, twisting and turning through space in impossible patterns. The aliens had better numbers, but humans had better reflexes and courage. One by one, the alien fighters were shot down until none remained. Colonel Arasong led ground forces on 6 different worlds in the same week. Her soldiers moved like ghosts, appearing from nowhere to destroy alien command centers and disappear before reinforcements could arrive. The aliens began to realize that they were not fighting a rebellion. They were fighting a war against an enemy that was better prepared, better armed, and more determined than they had ever faced. Other species in the galaxy began to take notice. The Crystalline Confederacy had been oppressed by the Empire for centuries. When they saw humans winning battles against Gaviran forces, they began to hope. Secret messages were sent from crystalline worlds to human commanders. They offered to share intelligence about alien military plans. They provided maps of secret bases and supply routes. The Aquatic Alliance, who controlled the ocean worlds, declared that they would remain neutral in the conflict. This was shocking because they had always supported the Empire before. Most surprising of all, 3 younger species openly announced that they were joining the human cause. The Avian Republic, the Silicon Collective, and the Energy Beings all said that they had suffered under Empire rule for too long. Fleet Commander Thyak 9 was leading a Gaviran attack on the human colony of New Sol when he received word that his supply base had been destroyed by avian ships fighting alongside humans. "This is impossible," he told his officers. "The other species fear us too much to rebel." But his tactical advisor showed him intelligence reports from across the galaxy. "Sir, 17 different species have declared independence from the Empire in the last week. The humans have inspired a galaxy-wide revolution." On Earth, Admiral San Chen watched the reports from his command center. The war was going better than even the most optimistic human planners had predicted. Dr. Hana Lim entered the command center with a smile on her face. "Admiral, Project Pandora is ready for full activation. We can shut down alien communications and weapons across 50 star systems." "Do it," San ordered. Across the galaxy, alien commanders suddenly found that their computers had stopped working. Their weapons would not fire. Their ships could not communicate with each other. Human cyber warfare specialists had infiltrated every major alien network. Colonel Bin Soto led a special forces mission to capture the Imperial prison on Fortress Prime. Human soldiers appeared inside the facility like ghosts, freed thousands of political prisoners from a dozen species, and vanished before the guards knew what had happened. The freed prisoners included resistance leaders who had been fighting the Empire for decades. Now they had hope that freedom was possible. As news of human victories spread, more and more species began to question why they served an empire that treated them like slaves. The galaxy had not seen a successful rebellion against the Gavirans in over 1,000 years. But humans were not just winning battles. They were winning hearts and minds. When human forces liberated alien work camps, they did not seek revenge against alien civilians. They provided medical care to the injured and food to the hungry, regardless of species. When young alien soldiers surrendered, humans treated them with mercy and respect. Many of these prisoners volunteered to fight alongside humans against the empire that had forced them to serve. The galaxy began to see that humans fought differently than other species. They did not fight for conquest or glory. They fought for justice and freedom. In his palace on the Imperial capital world, Emperor Grax Supreme received reports of defeat after defeat. His most trusted generals were dead or captured. His fleets were scattered or destroyed. "How many ships do we have left?" he asked his remaining advisor. "Perhaps 200, Your Supremacy, but many of our crews are deserting to join the rebellion." Emperor Grax Supreme had ruled the galaxy for 60 years. He had never imagined that the Empire could be threatened by any enemy, especially not by humans. "Gather every ship we have," he ordered. "We will make our final stand at Nexus Prime. If the Empire must fall, it will fall fighting." But deep in space, human fleets were already moving toward the Imperial capital. 300 ships led by Admiral San Chen himself were coming to end the war that had started with the murder of one innocent child. The galaxy was about to learn that when humans fight for justice, they do not stop until justice is served. The Imperial capital of Nexus Prime had never been attacked in its 1,000-year history. The massive city planet was protected by energy shields, orbital defense stations, and the largest fleet base in the galaxy. Emperor Grax Supreme believed it was impossible to conquer. He was wrong. Admiral San Chen stood on the bridge of his flagship, the UES Retribution, watching as 300 human ships approached the capital world. Behind them came ships from 17 different species who had joined the rebellion. "All ships, this is Admiral Chen," he broadcast to the fleet. "Today we end a war that began with the murder of an innocent child. Today we bring justice to those who thought they were above the law." The space battle around Nexus Prime lasted 6 hours. Human ships used their advanced technology and superior tactics to systematically destroy the Imperial defenses. Alien reinforcements arrived throughout the battle, but they could not stop the human advance. Captain Ina Cho led a squadron of Raptor fighters through the orbital defense grid. Her pilots flew with precision and courage, clearing a path for the main fleet to reach the planet's surface. When the orbital battle was won, General Yuna Choi led the ground assault. 10,000 human soldiers in powered armor dropped from the sky like falling stars. They landed in the government district and fought their way through the streets toward the Imperial Palace. The aliens fought bravely, but they had never faced an enemy like humans. Human soldiers moved with purpose and determination that no alien could match. They were fighting for every child in the galaxy who deserved to grow up free. Emperor Grax Supreme made his last stand in the throne room of his palace. When human soldiers broke through the doors, they found him sitting on his crystal throne, holding an ancient energy sword. "I am the Emperor of the galaxy," he declared. "I will never surrender to inferior beings." General Yuna Choi stepped forward, removing her helmet to show her face. "Your empire is finished. Your fleets are destroyed. Your allies have abandoned you. Surrender now, and you will be treated fairly." Grax Supreme raised his sword and charged. The battle was brief. When it was over, the last emperor of the Galactic Empire lay dead on the floor of his throne room. The war was over. But now came the most important part, bringing justice to those who had committed crimes against innocent people. In the ruins of the Galactic Council chambers, humans set up a special court. Judge Sua Kang, a wise woman who had studied law for 30 years, would lead the trials of alien war criminals. The first person brought before the court was Sector Commander Vex 9, the alien who had murdered Tae Yan. He was placed in a cage designed for dangerous prisoners, his claws and teeth removed so he could not hurt anyone. Judge Sua sat behind a simple wooden desk. She wore no fancy robes or symbols of power. Justice did not need decoration. "Sector Commander Vex 9, she said in a clear voice. "You are charged with the murder of Tai Yan, an 8-year-old human child. How do you answer?" Vex 9 looked around the courtroom with his yellow eyes. Hundreds of beings from different species were watching. Many of them had suffered under his command over the years. "I refuse to recognize this court," Vex 9 hissed. "Humans are inferior beings. You have no right to judge your superiors." Judge Sua nodded calmly. "Your answer is noted. We will proceed with the trial." For 3 days, witnesses testified about Vex 9's crimes. They told about the day he murdered Tae, for the simple act of finding a crystal and telling her friends about it. They spoke about years of cruelty and abuse under his command. Agent Jin Lee presented evidence that Vex 9 had killed dozens of workers from different species over the years. Most of the deaths had been covered up by the imperial government. Q. Yeon, Tae's father, took the witness stand on the final day. He was a quiet man who rarely spoke in public, but when he talked about his daughter, his voice was strong and clear. She was just a little girl who liked to play and laugh, Q said. She found something beautiful and wanted to share it with her friends. For that, this alien killed her in front of everyone she loved. Q looked directly at Vex 9. She was 8 years old. She had never hurt anyone in her life. She deserved to grow up and have children of her own someday. Nari, Ty's mother, also testified. She spoke about the daughter they had lost and the future that had been stolen from them. Ty wanted to be a doctor like me, Nari said through her tears. She wanted to help people who were hurt or sick. Instead, she was murdered by someone who saw her as less than an animal. When all the evidence had been presented, Judge Sua announced the verdict. Sector Commander Vex 9. This court finds you guilty of murder in the first degree, crimes against sentient beings, and abuse of power. The sentence is death, to be carried out on the world where the crime was committed. Vex 9 was taken back to Kepler 442b in chains. A special platform was built at the exact spot where he had killed Taeyeon. Representatives from hundreds of worlds came to witness the execution. Judge Sua gave Q the choice of how the execution would be carried out. As Tae's father, he had the right to demand justice in the traditional human way. On the day of the execution, thousands of beings gathered in the settlement where Tai had lived and died. Humans, aliens who had joined the rebellion, and even former imperial citizens who wanted to see justice done. Vex 9 was brought to the platform where he had committed his crime. He showed no remorse, even in his final moments. Q stepped forward, carrying an ancient human weapon, a simple projectile gun that his grandfather had used in Earth's old wars. It was not advanced like the new plasma weapons, but it would serve justice. "This is for my daughter," Q said quietly. The execution was swift and final. Sector Commander Vex 9, who had murdered an innocent child, paid for his crime with his life. As the months passed, a new government took shape. The Galactic Federation was formed with representatives from all species, not just the powerful ones. Every world would have a voice. Every being would have rights. Ambassador Wan Huan became the first Secretary General of the Federation. In his inaugural speech, he spoke about the changes that were coming. "We have learned that power must be earned through service, not taken through force," one said. "We have learned that every life has value, no matter how small or young." Dr.
Hana Lim led the effort to share human technology with other species.
The advanced weapons that had won the war were now being used to build a better galaxy. Colonel Bin Soto helped establish a new peacekeeping force with soldiers from many different worlds. Their job was to protect the innocent and prevent the kind of abuse that had existed under the Empire. On Earth, a special memorial was built to honor Taeyeon's memory. It was a simple garden with flowers from hundreds of different worlds. In the center stood a statue of a little girl holding a crystal up to the light. The inscription on the memorial read, "In memory of Taeyeon, whose innocent life reminded the galaxy that every child of every species deserves to grow up free." 10 years after the war ended, Wan Huan brought his own young daughter to visit the memorial. Her name was Tai, named in honor of the little girl whose death had changed everything. "Tell me the story again, Papa," little Tai asked as they stood before the statue. One knelt down beside his daughter and pointed to the memorial. "Once there was a little girl who found something beautiful. Bad people hurt her because they thought she was not important. But her death made all the good people in the galaxy realize that we had to protect children like you." "Did the bad people get punished?" young Tae asked. "Yes, they did. And now we have new laws that say no one can hurt children anymore, no matter what species they are." "Will humans always protect children, Papa?" One looked at his daughter's innocent face and thought about all the human soldiers who had died to make the galaxy safe. He thought about parents like Q and Nari who had lost their child but never gave up fighting for justice. "Always, little one," he said. "That's what makes us human." As they walked home through the peaceful streets of Earth's capital, Juan knew that Taeyeon's death had not been meaningless. Her murder had awakened something in humanity that could never be put back to sleep. The galaxy was now a place where children of all species could play and laugh and dream about their futures. It was a place where justice mattered more than power, where the strong protected the weak instead of exploiting them. It was the kind of galaxy that 8-year-old Taeyeon would have wanted to grow up in. And in a way, through the changes that her death had brought about, she had helped to create it. The little girl who found a crystal and told her friends about it had ended up changing the entire galaxy. Her memory would live on in every law that protected the innocent, every soldier who defended the weak, and every child who grew up free. That was Taeyeon's true legacy. A galaxy where no child would ever again die simply for being curious, innocent, and human.